Roger from My Way Journeys, and on this journey, number 10, we are planning and going to go to the New England Shaker Villages from one to another on a 2-day, 2.5 day adventure. So let's go. Just as a start, my disclaimer is that I am not paid or representing any of the tools that I use in my video or reference in my video. I just find that they work for me, and I keep on using them. And if I use them enough, I buy the subscription beyond what they may give me for free. But I'll talk about the tools as I go through the video. So, as I've said, when building my adventures, I kind of think of about it as in a three-way. Is one is planning for the trip, one is doing the trip, and then reliving the trip. And some of those tools I talked about help me do that and collect those ideas and thoughts. But where are we going? Well, as we said, we're going to do some shaker villages, and we're going to go through, and I'll list out where I'm going to go and what I want to see when I'm at those locations. There was no tour operator. Clearly when you're at the villages, there are guided tours, self-guided tours, docents to answer questions at many of the facilities. But just get out there and enjoy what those villages have to offer. For this trip, I did decide to stay overnight because I was making a loop. And so going from one to another, I selected what was going to be a good midpoint for me, and then be able to do the 2.5 days it was going to take to do this adventure. But prior to that, it was looking at where am I going to go, thinking about what do I want to see, what do I want to know before I go. And then who's been there before. So looking at TripAdvisor or YouTube, looking at other people, maybe at Instagram that had been to one of these locations. Expedia, if you are traveling, if you're coming into the region and going to visit the sites, you may need some accommodation and transport. But looking at, searches using whatever browser that you're going to use, but looking up locations like New Gloucester and Canterbury or Enfield, Hancock, Harvard, or the Pleasant Hill Shaker Villages. As you can see on the map, we're going to go around from A to E on here, but you can see that there are some locations that were Shaker Villages, but over time they phased out and the land was sold, but some of the buildings may exist and people may live in them or use them for other things, or they're just not there at all anymore. But we're going to hit 5 in this planning of sites that are active or have historic districts or societies where you can go and actually see something. For some guides, I've really been interested in the Shakers over time, but looking at that, so I did use some books out here. So there was the 4 Seasons of Shaker Life by Gerald Workins, and then also the Shaker Life, Work and Art by June Sprigg and David Larkin. Very interesting books, great reads in themselves, but that's what kind of, very unique religious group that was here during the 18th and through the mid-19th century, but originally founded in about 1760. Mother Ann Lee came over from religious persecution from England. They kind of made their way to an area that is now called Watervliet, New York, which is just outside. It's on the side of Albany, New York. And that's going to be our 3rd stop that we're going to do on this trip in here. But she came over, founded the group, which is an offshoot of the Quaker religion society. And it spread kind of on the East Coast during that time. We're following, where a lot of settlers came in from to the New World, and then spread mainly a big grouping in here in New England. But they did get out kind of as far as Kentucky, and then there was a village all the way down in Florida that is there. But for this trip, we're going to stick to the New England sites, not all of them, but some of them. Little history, Mother Ann Lee, as I said, she arrived here in 1774, correcting myself. First community was here in Watervliet, New York. Mother Ann passed away in 1784, and she is buried in Watervliet. So one of our pieces will be to find her grave. I believe that she's one of the few that actually has a markered grave. The Shakers just believed that it was a religion and a group and a way of life, and so their graveyards have a singular headstones for Shakers, and then everybody is buried in a plot within a cemetery that is just for the Shakers themselves. At the high point, they estimated about 20,000 members in total over the lifetime. But at the high point, at one point, there was about 5,000 members in one time. And as you'll see, that really interesting how the sites, each of the villages breaks down. And so we're going to give you some of those stats as we move along. But the members joined as individuals or entire families, and it was a celibate lifestyle. So men lived in men's dorms, and the women lived in women's dorms, and the children lived together until such age that they would determine whether they wanted to stay in the village and stay on as a Shaker, or leave and go out into the world and find adventures. So that worked well. The Shakers as an orphanage concept. So they did grow a little through the orphanage piece, but as society grew and state-run orphanages, that source or that bringing in of people kind of fell off. So by the 1960s, Shakerism was kind of on its way out and had really significantly shrunk since the early 1900s. And so they closed what was called the Millennium, and that was the book of people joining into the Shaker religion. So they closed the religion in Ethel Hudson, who was the last leader of the Shaker religion. She was in Canterbury, New Hampshire, and she passed away at the young age of 96 years old in 1992. And she donated the entire Shaker Village, what was left of it, to the state as a historical museum and education facility. So it is a beautiful facility. That's going to be our number one visit we're going to make on this journey. But very interesting in itself. Here, you can see I'm just kind of going through some of the sites that you can visit. I've made some notations as far as if there's a location that there's something you can go see, and other sites that there may just be a marker or an indicator that there was a village there at one time, and then the homes have been taken over. Very much like Harvard, Mass. There was a Shaker Village there. We're going to visit that. That is our last in the 5 that we're going to visit on this New England trip. And so we'll see, the homes and locations when we get to that point. You'll see here that each of the villages or settlements, they had a location name like a town, and then there was a spiritual name that many of them had as well. And I indicate here what times that they were active in these Shaker communities in themselves. So it was a very, very organized, industrious group. Here are some sources that I went out. Please, use them. I've given some extras in the concept of what else is on the site that you can do. But you can visit those sites and then coordinate maybe some festivals or activities that are happening at these locations. Mainly during the spring and summer time is when these are happening. As I've said before, that I do use a couple of tools when I'm out here. One is Wonderlog. This helps me find, as I'm doing the research for the locations I'm going to visit. Say I'm going to go to the Canterbury Shaker Village, and I'll look at what's around it to see what are the local interests or intrigues may be in those locations. And so here we're going to see if we can find some locations, and it helps me. I put the point on the map, then I can zoom in on the map and see, is there a path to see those points of interest if time allows me to do that? So that's one of the things I do with OneLog. It allows you to track your costs and things with your trip as you're pre-planning. You can do in here, as well as coordinate mileage between locations of whether you're going to walk, drive, or fly. For this trip, I decided that I'm going to do it about 2.5 days overall. I'm going to travel in the spring. It's currently springtime, but again, in the summertime, you could do this. And I hope to do one of the other sites later in the summer by going out to Pleasant Hill, Kentucky, just a little bit further out. Going to need to drive a little further out or fly out to visit the site. But we're just going to do the New England sites on this trip. You don't really need to plan. You could do, depending on if you live locally, you could drive out to any one of these facilities one at a time or do a couple in a day. So I'm doing this over 2 days and making a circuit out of it while I'm here in New England. If you are cautioned and you don't want to really get involved in the festivals, that would be my only caution. But each of the websites really denote when the events are going on the site. So when things may be going, and that actually may be a good reason to go, is while they're having some of these experiential weekends and festivals, that it may be a good time to go. So I had the map up before. This is how we're going to travel. We're going to go from Canterbury and Enfield, and that's going to be the kind of the part one of this trip. And we're going to visit those two, and then we're going to go from the Enfield, New Hampshire location out to basically Albany, New York, to Watervliet, New York, to where the kind of the home where the Shaker religion started here. Then from there we'll travel to Hancock and visit that beautiful village there in Hancock, and then we'll finish out by going over to Harvard, Mass, here at Point E on the map. And as a side trip, we'll go out to Pleasant Hill at another time when we have opportunity. Second app that I use helps me, when I want to share my travels with someone or share with a group here with track my tours. You can list your locations. The map will follow you through GPS. You can post pictures and comments, and people can, if you share the link with them, either private or public, they can comment and write to you in app. And then at the end, and you can respond to those comments, but in the end, you can print out a simple book. It gives you a map and the pictures and comments, and then the actual comment section is a separate part of the book, but it's a great little app. I enjoy it, and I keep several up there and then share them with friends so that if they want to follow me, that they can during that trip. Kind of as a post-travel notes, they're all 5 locations are drivable. One offers accommodations in part 1, offers accommodations that you can book in advance. And then if for the trip out to Pleasantville, they have a beautiful hotel and restaurant on the grounds so that you could do that. But travel is extremely easy. It's just driving and getting to the next point. And a lot of these Shaker villages are small satellite little villages off the side of a main city or town. So we're very well preserved and great locations. Again, the noteworthy is to visit one while they've got a festival going on during the weekend. Wear comfortable shoes, for the walking on the grounds. They're not, most of them are the villages are very close together. So some short walking and well-maintained trails, should you need accommodation, but very accessible overall. Visit the local shops, as I said, in the areas where the villages are located, and shop local in that concept. So if you've liked the part of the planning, please like or subscribe. Tell me, what you thought of it or places that you would like me to go to. Just put them notes in the comment, and I will respond back to you. So I appreciate your watching, and please like or subscribe. Thank you. Have a great day.